Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about cultural differences in parenting between Brazil and the UK, which are the two countries that I know fairly well. I was born in Brazil, I was raised there for 23 years, and I've been living in the UK now for 10 years, and I have two children here. So I've kind of seen both countries from different perspectives. I was a child raised in Brazil, and now I am raising children here in the UK. And I wanted to talk about a few cultural differences that I've noticed since having my own children. I'd love for you guys to comment below with some cultural differences from your own countries or from the countries where you live now, and just tell me if you think they're more similar to the UK, similar to Brazilian, or if they're completely different to both of these cultures. I've done a few of these cultural differences videos in the past. I'll leave them linked below. I've done one talking about differences between British and Brazilian people in general, and then another one talking about the difference between Brazil and the UK as a country in general as well. And yeah, so watch those if you want to see more cultural differences. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you here, so please do hit the subscribe button and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And now let's get straight into the video. I just wanted to start by saying that culture is generally something really difficult to talk about and to discuss, isn't it? Because I'm always worried about offending other people and saying something that might not be correct in someone's culture or might not be acceptable in someone's culture. So these videos are more for like general knowledge, information purposes. They're not me saying that one culture does something better than the other, or that one way is the correct way and the other way is the wrong way. It's not about that at all. This is just my experience. I know a lot of you who watch me are British people who might not know about the Brazilian side of the culture, and also a lot of you watching me are Brazilians or people from all over the world who might be interested to know about British culture. So hopefully you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from with all of these. Not that anything is really controversial, but I just wanted to say that because in a couple of my videos before, a few people have kind of taken sides and thought that I was actually saying that one culture is better than the other, but that's not what I'm saying at all. So let's just get straight in with the first cultural difference. The first thing that I noticed that's very different between Brazilians and British people is bedtime for children. I noticed that when I went to Brazil with my children, and most children that were my children's age, which is between 1 and 3, were going to bed much later than my children. I think here in the UK there is kind of like a general bedtime which is 7 p.m. I would say even earlier than that for younger children. My children go to bed at 6 o'clock. Between 6 and 7 p.m. they will be in bed unless something is not going to plan. But that is kind of like the general rule of bedtime in the UK. And I found in Brazil children were going to bed between 8, 9 p.m. or even later than that. I don't know why that is. I just find that for my children, they can't stay awake past 7, 8 o'clock-ish is like the latest that they will be absolutely desperate to be asleep. It's a natural bedtime thing for my children, but I just find that generally here in the UK, kids go to bed kind of much earlier than in Brazil. So if you know why this happens, or if you have any insight as to why this might happen, please comment below and tell me what is generally an acceptable bedtime for children between the age of 0 and 8 in your country, and how do you do it? The second cultural difference is school hours. So in Brazil, school hours are either morning or afternoon session. When you get to university and college and things like that, then you have evening sessions as well. But here in the UK, a school session is between 9 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or 3:15, just a little bit after 3, which to me was completely insane to get used to. I was used to a 7 o'clock in the morning to midday, or a 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 p.m. session. These were the two sessions that you could get your school hours in, and throughout my whole life I went to school in these school hours. I did all my school years in Brazil, my university degree, everything there, and school hours were always like that. So when I came here and my son has just started school, and school hours are 9 to 3, it just does not make sense at all to me. It feels all very kind of middle of the day-ish. It's not morning, it's not afternoon, you're just kind of in the middle of the day. Now, my shoulder just clicked. I have a couple of like theories or thoughts as to why that is here. I feel like because the working hours in the UK for parents are usually 9 to 5, it makes more sense for the kids to be in school for the majority of time that the parents are in work. I think the thing with cultural differences is when you're living your culture, you don't think of it as it being different. It's only when you move to another country that you're made aware of these differences, because culture is basically the way you live. It's the way that you know things, the way that you do things, and you're only aware of that when you notice that people do it differently to you. And that's just when I moved here to the UK, that's when I noticed these differences that to me were just life. They were just normal things. And then you come to a different country and things are done ever so slightly different or very, very differently. Next cultural difference is birthday parties. Brazilian birthday parties, they are huge, especially for children, but for any age, they are absolutely huge. They go all out. A birthday party for a child in Brazil is, I would say, equivalent to a wedding reception here, and the budget and the amount of money you spend would be around about the same. You have tiered cakes, you have the whole like room decoration, you hire a venue, you've got balloons, you've got everything that you can possibly imagine. Obviously, if you can afford it, not everybody can afford that, but I feel like even if you can't afford it, there's a lot of emphasis put on birthdays in Brazil and birthday parties. As over here, I feel like you can have birthday parties for children here in your house with just your family unit or grandparents and uncles and aunties, and that would be absolutely okay. No one would feel like they should have been invited to the party. Like the neighbors wouldn't feel upset if they weren't invited, as in Brazil they would definitely feel upset if they weren't invited. Another cultural difference is when it comes to celebrating the first year of your baby's life. So in Brazil, there's something really popular nowadays called a monthversary. This was not a thing when I was growing up, and I did not have a party for every month of my life until I turned 1. But now that's totally a thing in Brazil, and most people I know will throw like mini parties every month until the baby turns 1, which sounds amazing. You kind of get a cake, you get nibbles and food, and you have guests over and you sing happy birthday to your baby every month on the day of your baby's birth until they turn 1, and then you have your big birthday bash when they turn 1. So it's kind of like a big deal to be born in Brazil, because we just celebrate a lot of a person's life. You can hire like monthversary planners, and so someone will actually plan the whole year of your baby's life in terms of the parties and the themes to kind of follow with the months and what's happening each month. And yeah, it's like insanely crazy, over the top, but amazing to have all these memories to look back on. And here in the UK, I don't think there's such a thing. If anything, you'd probably take a photo of your baby and say, oh, you're 1 month old today, with a little milestone card next to it saying you're 2 months old today. So yeah, I think that's the most I've seen here. I've not seen someone celebrating monthversaries like in Brazil here. Another big cultural difference is the way that children call other people that are not their parents or grandparents, or like someone who's not a family member. So in Brazil, everyone is an uncle or an auntie. So if you have a close friend and your close friend comes to visit, you'd say this is Uncle Paul or Auntie Sarah, and they're not your uncle and auntie, but you call them uncle and auntie. So Mummy and Daddy's close friends will all be uncle and aunties. So you'll have lots of uncles and aunties in Brazil, and until you grow up old enough to know to differentiate who's who, you'll think that everybody is related to you. As over here, I think people are a lot more formal. Also in school environment, your teachers are also uncles and aunties when you're little. Obviously when you grow a bit older, they're not uncles and aunties, but you call them by their first name. As here in the UK, your teachers are Miss, Mrs, Mr, and when you grow older, they still continue to be Miss, Mrs and Mr. You call them by their surname. So that's very, very different for me, and I find it quite strange. I'm getting used to it now, but in the beginning I found it really strange to say something like Mrs. Doubtfire is my teacher, and in Brazil we'd probably say, Dora is my teacher, not Mrs. something. So that's the same with being an uncle and an auntie. It's kind of a very informal relationship with people that you are close to, people you know, and everybody is your uncle or your auntie. Another cultural difference is the time of the day where parents bath or shower their children. So in Brazil, it's more common to shower or bath your kids in the morning, and here in the UK, it's more common in the evening or late afternoon just before bedtime. And that was something that my parents, my mum and my sister, my siblings found it funny or unusual that I bath my kids at bedtime here, because over there, everyone they know bath their kids at kind of morning time. And talking about bathing and shower, over there, almost no one has a bath at home. It's not common to have a bath in your house in Brazil unless you have a lot of money to buy a bath, because it's expensive. So everyone there has showers, and when you have small babies, you have like little bathtubs, or you buy those baby baths and stuff. But then when your baby is old enough, they will only have showers. As here in the UK, most households will have a bath. It's a very common thing to have. It's not a luxurious item in your house. It's just a household item to have a bath. So my kids have mostly baths here, but they also have showers. So yeah, the time of the day is slightly different, and also the fact that Brazilians don't usually have baths in their house. Another difference is snacking. So this one might be a little bit more personal than cultural, but I feel like there is a lot of that where I'm from in Brazil. I'm not sure about other parts in Brazil. So in Brazil, snacking for children is not very common at all. I don't think, if I remember, I don't think I grew up having snacks. I had my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner. And if I was peckish, I would ask for extra food throughout the day, or I would be given like extra food, but it was never expected to have food in between my meals. So here in the UK is slightly different in that kids have snacks all day long. So you have your breakfast, then you have your snack, then your lunch, then your snack, and then your dinner. And that's considered quite normal. It's not excessive at all. And the snacks don't have to be like huge things here. You could give them like a banana or, anything small. But it's a thing. Snacks here are a thing. And when I grew up in Brazil, snacks were not a thing. They were treats, and they were things that you'd get if you went to a friend's house, or if you were really good, you get an extra snack, or if you were really hungry, you would ask for one. So yeah, let me know if you're from Brazil and you grew up as a child having snacks throughout the day, or if that's even a cultural thing, or if that's just me growing up in my family in Brazil. The next big cultural difference is the definition of family here in the UK and in Brazil. So if you ask anyone in Brazil, who is your family? If you ask a child, because we're talking about parenting, if you ask a young child, who is your family? They would say, if they have siblings, they'd say my mum, my dad, my brother or my sister, my aunties, my uncles, my grandma, my grandpa, and that's my family. Here in the UK, I think the answer would be my mum, my dad, my brother and my sister. And that's your nuclear family, which is your family here. As in Brazil, your extended family is your family. So that is a lot more people than just mum and dad, brother and sister. Over there, your extended family is your family. I have never known any different, and I still consider all my uncles and aunties my family. I have, I think, 12 or 13 of them. Yeah, I've got a lot of uncles and aunties. And the last big cultural difference is when it comes to the most important thing that you teach children in both of these countries. And obviously this is very personal, and this is from my experience, and I'd love to know what your experience and your thoughts on this is. So in Brazil, I think the most important thing that children are taught is respect for others, for older people, for your family members, for everyone. But respect is really big in Brazil, especially in a family environment. And I think here in the UK, obviously you're taught respect as well as part of a set of values that you're taught. But I think the value that you're taught the most here when you're old enough, or even from a very young age, is independence. And there's a lot of focus put on children being able to settle themselves to sleep, to feed themselves, get themselves dressed, to leave the house early and go and live somewhere else outside of the home. As in Brazil, people stay with their parents, they live at home until they get married. There's no pressure, there's no rush to move out of the house. So I think these two, I would say these two words would kind of differentiate the two cultures, and that would define these cultures for me. I think Brazilians would be respect, Brazilian children, as I'm talking about respect, and British children would be independence. Let me know what you think, if you agree with me, if you disagree, if you think that there are better words to describe these two cultures. And also tell me which word would you use to describe your own culture or the country that you live in. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting or fun, or just a little bit of more cultural knowledge to my life here in the UK or my background living in Brazil. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave any comments below with regards to cultural differences if you have anything to add to this conversation. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you guys here on my channel. I'll leave a playlist linked below of all my cultural differences video, because if you're watching this one, then you might like watching the two ones that I've done before. And yeah, hope you're having a lovely day, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!